progress, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show under the world of outlaws.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back tonight to the Online Sim Racing Network as we end the regular race season with the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Track Series. Tonight is the Buckle Up 50, that's the Buckle Up 50 race 10 of 10 in the regular race season. Yes, that means the race before the chase and the last race or the last opportunity for the drivers who are not yet locked into the chase to get themselves locked in before the playoffs starting next week with race 1 at Iowa Motor Speedway. That's Iowa Motor Speedway. My commentator Sean Zulu, and up in the booth with me is David Evely. How are you doing tonight, Dave?
I'm doing great. Sean, how you doing tonight?
Oh, doing good too, thank you. We're gonna mix things up here tonight, going from all oval racing to a road course. Tonight's race, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That's Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And ladies and gentlemen, this series is brought to you by the AdvancedSimulationProducts.com. That's AdvancedSimulationProducts.com. They specialize in custom button boxes, so check them out. And this is ExtremeMotorsports99.com. And ladies and gentlemen, a recap from last week. That was the Samson Motorsports 145 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. In that race, we had Gary Whitson bring it home for his second win of the season. He had back-to-back wins. He won at the last race before that at Darlington, and also last week's race at Vegas. So that was a great 2 weeks for Gary Whitson. John Sterling finished second, Curtis Vollmer third, Cody McFadden fourth, Tyler Hallman fifth, Jason Eisenhower sixth, Chris Voiles seventh, Jim Kelly 8th, Randy Perdue 9th, and Ralph Van der Vorst did round up the top 10. And in last week's race to Las Vegas, that did allow them to battle a lot. And we had a lot of green flag runs as well, with 2 to 3 green flag pit stops. Well, some drivers had to pit in a third time, but some were able to make it on just 2 pit stops. So fuel strategy was very, very key. And moving on to our current points standings, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new points leader in points this week. Well, in this case, Curtis Vollmer is leading in points after, well, he was beaten off by Hunter McDaniel. He was bumped down second place by McDaniel, but McDaniel was not able to make it last week. So now Vollmer is back in the race lead. The points lead. So congrats to Curtis Vollmer. Gary Whitson, second place in points. Scott Mitten, third. And Hunter McDaniel bumped down to 4th place from the lead in points. So that's a lot of drops. He lost 3 spots. Greg Bradshaw, 5th. Gary Woobot, 6th. Tyler Holman, 7th. John Sterling, 8th. Tommy Amasi, 9th. And Cody McFadden rounding up the top 10. And the points here are kind of spaced out. So there's a 20-point difference between the top 2 drivers, Curtis Vollmer and Gary Whitson. Also a 20-point difference between 4th and 5th place drivers, Hunter McDaniel and Greg Bradshaw. But only 1 point separates the 6th and 7th place driver, Gary Woobot and Tyler Holman. And we also have a 5-point difference between Tyler Holman and John Sterling, 7th and 8th place respectively. At the same time, a 3-point difference between 8th place and 9th place drivers, John Sterling and Tommy Amasi respectively, and 9 points separating the 9th and 10th place drivers, Tommy Amasi and Cody McFadden. And I see some viewers there in the chat typing it up, so please get active, say something. Gonna go all the way to the top, so I see only 2 names. We have Brandon Ketchum. Brandon Ketchum is back. Hashtag Team Gillen Motorsports. Welcome back, Brandon. It's good to see you again. And hopefully, your pain holds out. Sorry to hear about the pain you're going through after coming from the dentist. And Pat T as well in the chat. Welcome back, Pat T. It's always a pleasure. Hope you're doing well tonight. And Gillen Motorsports himself, that is Joshua Gillen. Welcome back, Joshua Gillen. We saw you doing some drift action in practice. We'll look forward to seeing you have your another win here tonight, hopefully. That would be a heck of a way to end the season on your part. It's been an amazing season on your part overall. And going back to tonight's race, ladies and gentlemen, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Tonight we do have a 78-degree Fahrenheit track temp. That's 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Fahrenheit air temperature. It is clear skies, late afternoon with winds from the south at 7 miles per hour. And as usual, the drivers have a 65% fuel limit, that is 65%. So you should expect to see at least 2 to 3 pit stops required. In this case, they will have to be under green because this is a road course, which means no cautions, no full course cautions. And this track is 2.46 miles in length. That's 2.46 miles in length. And it has 10 turns in total. And as the race progresses, I will try and familiarize you, the viewers out there, with the turn names and the turn numbers. And so far here tonight, the drivers in practice were running all the way from 1 minute 20-second lap times to 1 minute 25, just depending on the tire wear. At the same time, just depending on how well they know the track. Because it's all about memorization, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about consistency at a road course. And here the poster is 07 of Christian DeFalco, Greg Bradshaw 2nd, Hunter McDaniel 3rd, Gary Whitson 4th, Alex Kingsbury 5th. We have Bryce Whitson Jr. 6th, Curtis Vollmer 7th, Tyler Holman 8th, Timothy Hamlet 9th, and Wally Tierheimer rounding up the top 10. Nick Hunt 11th, John Sterling, an alien himself, 12th, Mr. Highside himself, Ralph Van der Vorst 13th, Randy Perdue 14th, we have Chris Voiles 15th, Scott Brooks 16th, Brandon Ketchum 17th, David Elliott 18th, Tommy Haynes 19th, and Cody McFadden 10th place in points, rounding up the top 20 on the grid here tonight. Jay Pryor 21st, Joshua Gillen 22nd, Gary Woolbot 23rd, Tommy Amasi 24th, Bobby Tinch 25th, and that's all the drivers who qualified. We also have Travis Pryor, Jeffrey Gillam, and Octavio Rondoletto. That's Octavio Rondoletto rounding up the rest of the field, giving us about 28 drivers starting tonight's race, the Buckle Lap 50. And we are now rolling behind this pace car. Christian DeFalco starting on the right side, and Greg Bradshaw to his left. And ladies and gentlemen, if the chase were, if the season were to end right here before this race, the drivers who would be locked into the chase would include Gary Whitson, Randy Perdue, Bryce Whitson Jr., Joshua Gillen, Jay Pryor, Hunter McDaniel, Curtis Vollmer, Scott Mitten, Gary Woolbot, Tyler Homan, John Sterling, and Tommy Amasi. I repeat, Tommy Amasi, John Sterling, Tyler Homan, Gary Woolbot, Scott Mitten, Curtis Vollmer, Hunter McDaniel, Jay Pryor, Joshua Gillen, Bryce Whitson Jr., Randy Perdue, and Gary B. Whitson. And Mr. Whitson himself, Gary, having the most wins this season. Well, having 2 wins, so everybody else has had 1 win. Because remember, if we talked about it last week, we had 8 different races with 8 different winners, and Whitson being the only driver to win 2 races at Darlington and Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, this track is quite tricky. It can be tricky in the very beginning, and once that fatigue starts kicking in, it's going to be very, very important for the drivers to stay alert and be on their toes, because at this point here tonight, they will be racing the track and their opponents at the exact same time, and also this race being the last chance, the final opportunity for them to get themselves locked into the chase. That's for those who are not yet locked in, and for some who might be holding on for dear life or be on the bubble, if you will. And as we speak, exiting turn number 10. Yes, turn number 10, the green flag is out, and DeFalco finds that Peternopi's caught sleeping, and Bradshaw is able to get around him and takes over the race lead before lap 1 even begins. Entering turn number 2 this time around, DeFalco trying his best to catch up to Greg Bradshaw. We are now green flag racing lap 1 of 50. This is the Buckle Lap 50, race 10 of 10, Extreme Motorsports 99.com Camping World Track Series season number 10, brought to you by the Advanced Simulation Products. That's the AdvancedSimulationProducts.com, specializing in custom button boxes. And a new viewer, a returning viewer in the chat, Martha Tierheimer. Welcome back, Martha. It's good to see you again. Hope you're doing well tonight. Off the exit of the right-hander, that was turn number 6. DeFalco able to get around Greg Bradshaw, who had some bad wheel spin off the turn. And that was the Moss Corner, is what they call it, the 90-degree right-hander. And side by side between Hunter McDaniel and Gary B. Whitson. Looks like Hunter McDaniel able to get around Whitson. Oh man, McDaniel almost spins out, but able to hang on to that machine and hangs on to 3rd place at the same time. 88 of John Sterling here so far, behind 75 of Wally Tierheimer. These 2 drivers 9th and 10th place respectively, behind 49 of Tim Hamlet. And once we cross the start-finish line, we are going to focus on the leader, Christian DeFalco, as I try and familiarize, jeez, I can't find that word, as I try to make everybody get familiar with the track here, Canadian Motorsports Park. And so far, DeFalco gets a great exit off turn number 6. against Greg Bradshaw. Well, as promised here with Christian DeFalco now exiting the final turn number 10 towards the start-finish line this time around. And this right-hander right here, right next to the wall into the curb, is turn number 1. He's approaching turn number 2, which is a left-hander. It is known as the Clayton corner. That's the Clayton corner. And he powers off nice and strong into turn 3. That's the Quebec corner. You're seeing this live on the shotgun seat. Sorry, not shotgun seat, but the driver's seat of Christian DeFalco. The race leader now approaching turn 4. Actually, this is turn number 5 and 6. That's Morse corner. And off turn number 6, turn 6 is the turn that is the right-hander. The right-hander, that's 90 degrees, just about. And this straightaway is known as the Mario Andretti straightaway. And he comes up to turn number 8. Here, which is also part of the S's, turns number 8 through 10. So 8, 9, and 10, all the S's. And that turn number 10 is known as the White's corner. And that was a lap complete on the shotgun seat. In this case, the driver's seat of the leader, Christian DeFalco. Great driving.
Yeah, you gotta definitely remember though, these drivers, no yellow flags, no full course cautions, no lucky dogs. So, unfortunately, with a road course like this, Sean, they're only going to have the local caution, which means if they wreck in the corner, there'll be a yellow for that corner only. So they'll just have to slow down, and as soon as they get through that corner and around that vehicle, they'll be back on the gas, back racing again.
Oh, indeed, yes. Mistakes are very, very costly. Very, very costly in road series, definitely. So, yeah, everybody's going to have to be on their toes with every single lap, every single turn to try their best to not get claimed. And in my opinion, the toughest turn or set of turns in this case is turns number 5 and 6, which is the Moss corner, and that is the right-hander. That's 90 degrees, because at that point they are carrying the least speed to try and get through that without spinning out, and also easing into the gas nice and slow, nice and easy, to try and avoid getting themselves in trouble. But here so far on the racing surface, 48 of Curtis Vollmer, currently in the 6th place spot, so far being approached by 77 of Tyler Holman. And they are teammates. Some trouble in track 81 of Travis Pryor in the wall, in the tires in this case. His machine has lost all rotation. Yes, oh man, Travis unfortunately his machine has lost rotation and is forced to tow down to pit road. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, as we take a look here on the replay, Sean, he just came in too hot and then just right into the tires. So unfortunate there by the 81 of Travis Pryor.
Oh, yep, indeed. Looks like he actually also hit the curb, and that curb did not assist him whatsoever. That's unfortunate. Hopefully they end up fixing the front wheels or the front shaft of that machine so it can be able to get back on the racing surface. Oh, man. And also, ladies and gentlemen, these curbs here at the road courses are always used. The drivers take advantage of these curbs to help the machines rotate at high speeds. But looks like Travis did end up hitting that curb at the wrong angle, and that did, unfortunately, work against him. '49 of Timothy Hamlet here so far, right behind Tyler Holman, creeping up at quite the rate. And 88 of John Sterling as well, right behind. So Alex Kingsbury, John Sterling, Timothy Hamlet, and Tyler Holman, who gets sideways. Oh man, entering the left-hander turn number 3. He got so sideways, lost all his speed and momentum that Hamlet's still over his rear view, his rear end, as we speak. They all approach turn number 4, which is also another left-hander, right before the most difficult turn, turn number 5 and 6, the Moss corner. Oh, Tim Hamlet goes sideways off the exit of turn number 6. He's able to save it, but he loses 2 spots to 72 of Kingsbury and 88 of John Sterling. And a returning viewer in the chat, Martin Rondolento. Hola a todos. Vamos, Octavio. Welcome back, Martin. It's good to see you again. And here we also have the 75 of Wally Tierheimer. Wally Tierheimer 1 spot away from the top 10. Last time we checked on him, he was in 9th place, but now got bumped down 1 spot by Timothy Hamlet. And now so far he has the 5 of Randy Perdue right behind him in the 12th place position. And unfortunately here this far with us 7 laps in, we already have 2 drivers 1 lap down. The 9 of Chris Voiles being one of those drivers, including 61 of Jeffrey Gillam, who seems to have some right rear damage on that Sim Racing app's Chevy Silverado. Looks like he had some bad luck there early on, but he is still trucking. And ladies and gentlemen, it has been a 10-week regular race season, and now the playoffs begin next week. That is the Chase Series, which is a 5-race series. And just so I can give you an idea of what's to come in this Chase Series, and by that I mean what tracks to expect. We'll be first starting off with Iowa Speedway. That's Iowa Speedway next week. If I can find the schedule. But yes, Iowa's Motor Speedway next week. Then Chase Race 2 will be held at Chicagoland Speedway. That's Chicagoland Speedway Chase Race 2. Then we're going to have an off week on June 5th. Then for Chase Race 3, we'll be back with Pocono Raceway. Chase Race 4, Michigan International Raceway. And the final race of the season will be held at Homestead Miami Speedway. So that's going to be Iowa Speedway, Chicagoland, Pocono Raceway, Michigan International, and Homestead Miami Speedway to end the season. But then the question remains, does anybody have anything against our defending champion Maverick Motorsports driver, Hunter McDaniel? Oh man, we have lost 1 driver, just lost a driver. Octavio Rondoletto. Oh, looks like the leader up front is putting some more drivers a lap down. He gets around both Jeffrey Gillam and the 4-0 of Joshua Gillen. But yeah, we have lost Octavio Rondoletto. We look forward to seeing him back for next week's race, Chase Race 1 at Iowa. And a driver with some heavy front-end damage in that Toyota Tundra. It's actually a Canadian Tire Toyota Tundra from this track. He does have some bad damage. That's Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks with some heavy front-end damage on that machine. Oh man, hopefully he's not really feeling the effects of it to the extent that it might look like, because that machine on the front end is very beat up, and that's most likely affecting the cooling of it. And the big cluster here still going on among Alex Kingsbury, John Sterling, Tyler Holman, and Curtis Vollmer. And so far we have Alex Kingsbury getting a little bit of draft from a 8 of Sterling. And for the back in the pack, we have Wally Tierheimer, who has his eyes on the prize, and the prize being 99 of Bryce Whitson Jr. A driver in the grass 5 of Purdue, able to get back on the racing surface. No harm done. Well, he actually, when he went into the grass, he lost all his speed and momentum that he was able to get overtaken by the 68 of Ralph van der Forst. In 15th place, we have number 0 of Nick Hunt. Nick Hunt here so far just trying to buy his time, trying to get around the racing surface, as it is very tricky, right behind 42 of David Elliott. And Pat, that's a very good point. And for the back in the pack, 17 of Tommy Haynes as well, with some damage on that machine on the front end as well, on the right front specifically. Looks like some drivers had been claimed by those tires. But good thing is those tires were able to actually save those machines to an extent, because the tires did end up taking most of that impact, and kept those machines running enough to complete more laps. And so far, last driver on the lead, lap 66 of Bobby Tinch in 21st. 15 of Gary Woobot, currently in 17th place behind the 12 of Brandon Ketchum. Gary Woobot was able to get himself locked into the chase last season, and is trying to do the exact same thing this season. And also in tonight's race, before tonight's race, Woobot did start 6th place in points. That's very, very impressive. Only 1 point ahead of 7th place driver Tyler Holman. And we've noticed Gary Woobot just driving, racing smart, race after race, all season long. He was able to avoid all that trouble. As a result, he's been looking amazing in the points. Once again, 6th place in points, starting tonight's race. And the 1-2 Brandon Ketchum so far exits turn number 6. His next victim is about 6 seconds ahead. That is Nick Hunt. And at this point, I am showing 64 of Cody McFadden as well. 1 lap down. Looks like he was on pit road 1 lap ago, last lap, for about 160 seconds. That's a lot of time spent on pit road. Not sure what happened to McFadden, but his machine does not seem to have a single scratch on it. So maybe he had some internal damage to get fixed. In the 8th place spot, we have 77 of Tyler Holman, a Samson Motorsports driver who was in a gaggle of Alex Kingsbury, John Sterling, and Gary Whitson, but now has fallen all the way back to 8th place, which is about 12 seconds behind them, and also with some left front damage and some rear damage as well. So it looks like he had some bad luck in that Hisense Silverado. 48 of Curtis Vollmer coming up to his biggest victim, or biggest opponent from last season, our defending champion Hunter McDaniel. They are currently here in the 6th and 7th place positions respectively, and right behind Kingsbury. And this is a road course, ladies and gentlemen. Slow in, fast out. Too fast in, you might not be able to make it out, as Curtis Bowman gets some sideways action off the exit of turn number 6 and lost some time against Hunter McDaniel and Alex Kingsbury. So once again, it's all about the consistency, being able to hit your marks with every single lap, making sure you don't miss your braking point. Also, one more thing here, when these drivers race as close as they might get, it might be a recipe for disaster if they're not paying attention, because these machines do not have any brake lights, so it's very difficult to tell when someone's braking. But going back up front, Greg Bradshaw still has the leader inside Christian DeFalco as they both get around 17 of Tommy Haynes. And Tommy Haynes has been put down to 1 lap down and just leaving us with now 19 drivers on the lead lap. And looking at the qualifying times of the top 2 drivers, DeFalco and Greg Bradshaw, they were about only a 1/10 apart. That's very, very close. They pretty much have, they might be equal, if you will, in this case. And so Bradshaw is just trying his best to catch up to DeFalco the best that he can, or maybe try and beat him when it comes down to those green flag pit stops, which should be happening here before too long. We have some drivers on pit road: Bryce Whitson Jr. and Randy Perdue. In the case of Randy Perdue, this is an unscheduled pit stop. He has a lot of heavy damage on the front end of his machine. Hopefully he's able to get back out on the racing surface. In the case of Bryce Whitson Jr., yes, Bryce Whitson Jr. as well, an unscheduled pit stop, heavy damage all around the track of the truck. Oh man, that's very unfortunate. So far this track has claimed 3 drivers: Randy Perdue, Bryce Whitson Jr., and Travis Pryor, unfortunately. Yeah, people going a lap down left and right. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there is 1 drop week in this series, 1 drop week in the regular race season, which means their worst race will not count against them. It's not going to count at all. It will be dropped. And that's going to benefit everybody. Also, at the same time, it will shake the points up quite a bit. And we have unfortunately lost the 5 of Randy Perdue. We look forward to seeing him back again for Chase Race 1 next week at Iowa Motor Speedway at the Fred's Pharmacy. For the back in the packs, we had a battle going on between 49 of Timothy Hamlet and Hunter McDaniel. These drivers very close to each other as they exit turn number 10, 8th and 9th. Also not to forget 75 of Wally Tierheimer. Wally Tierheimer finally back in the top 10. And I've been observing both Timothy Hamlet and Hunter McDaniel for the last couple of laps. And what I've noticed is that Hunter McDaniel seems to be a little bit slower there in between turns number 2 and 3, while Hamlet is faster in turn number 5 and 6. But here makes a mistake off the exit of turn 6, and Hunter benefits from it greatly. And that bumps Hunter McDaniel to 8th place, Timothy Hamlet down to 9th. And due to the mistake of Timothy Hamlet, Wally Tierheimer is right behind. And I brought up the point of, oh, we have Timothy Hamlet going down pit road as we speak. Green flag pit stops beginning. And Greg Bradshaw as well is on pit road. And Timothy Hamlet did pit in with 16 laps on his tires and tank. And off pit road, Greg Bradshaw goes. He spent 19.1 seconds on pit road. In this case, in his pit stall. So since DeFalco's biggest opponent just pitted in, maybe DeFalco is now thinking about doing the exact same thing? It looks like DeFalco going around one more time with now 18 laps on his tank and tires. Gary Whitson on pit road. Well, including Brandon Ketchum. Another battle we have going on here is between 72 of Alex Kingsbury and the 88 of John Sterling, third and fourth place. And John Sterling here coming up 17 of Tommy Haynes. And also another bad thing of not having full course cautions is that once you go one or more laps down, the chances of you getting your laps back are very, very slim. Because, well, the only way for you to get your lap back is if you're faster than the leaders and you end up lapping the whole entire field. David Elliott on pit road, including Brandon Ketchum. Actually, Ketchum has been on pit road for way too long, over a minute now. So something tells me he is getting damage fixed. Yes, he is getting damage fixed on that machine. An interesting fact here on the lead lap, the drivers who pitted in, I talked about Greg Bradshaw, who had a 19.1 second pit stop, but second place driver Whitson had a 13.8 second pit stop. Looks like Gary just took 2 tires with gas, while Bradshaw took all 4s, and Kingsbury as well, going down pit road as we speak. Actually, scratch that. Looks like Whitson did take 4 tires as well with that 13-second pit stop. When we also have Wally Tierheimer, Ralph Vanderforst pitting in this time around. Gary Whitson has found Hunter McDaniel. They are nose to tail on this straightaway as we speak. As Whitson get a better exit off the exit of turn 6 on the straightaway. Is going to challenge him before turn number 8. Yes, he goes to the right side. Hunter backs it down because that's a very, very dangerous place to make a pass due to the track's curve. And Whitson able to get that pass, make the pass successful against McDaniel, and that bumps Whitson up to 6th place. Actually, McDaniel needs to pit in still as he is going down pit road. Curtis Vollmer, Tyler Holman, Hunter McDaniel on pit road. And now the updated top 5. Christian DeFalco still leading. John Sterling 2nd. Curtis Vollmer 3rd. Tyler Holman 4th. And Gary Whitson in the top 5, running up the top 5. And Christian DeFalco now coming up to 21 laps on his tires and tank, and he continues going. This is all going to come down to pure strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like DeFalco and John Sterling are trying to make it on just one pit stop, while others might have to pit in a second time. But John Sterling now going down pit road this time around. And for the back in the pack, we have the 9 of Chris Voyles, keeping a low profile here so far tonight, currently in the 18th place spot. His next victim for position is the 42 of David Elliott for 17th. The pit strategy, very important, as that could be the difference between a second place spot and a first place spot, or maybe winning a race, or coming in second place, or below that. And DeFalco goes down pit road this time around, and that's all the drivers on the lead lap who pitted in. We still have 5 more drivers needing to pit in. Nick Hunt, Jay Pryor, Chris Voyles, Tommy Amasi, and Jeffrey Gillum. These 5 drivers still need to pit in, but Tommy Haynes is now on pit road. And now the stats of the lead machines. The driver with the fastest pit stop is the leader, Christian DeFalco, with a 13.9 second pit stop. Actually scratched that, he got beaten by a tenth of a second by Gary Whitson, who had 13.8 second pit stop, and DeFalco once again 13.9 seconds. So great job to Whitson for having the fastest pit stop for the first round of green flag pit stops. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with 22 laps complete and 29 laps left, we'll take our first commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned.
Don't let your first date be your last. Visit People Against Distracted Driving at PADD.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Buckle Up 50. That's the Buckle Up 50, round number 10, season 10, Extreme Motorsports 99.com Camping World Track Series, the race before the chase begins. This is once again the final chance for the drivers who are not yet locked into the chase to get themselves into this chase to go against the Hunter McDaniel for that title, that belt. And the series is brought to you by the AdvancedSimulationProducts.com. That's AdvancedSimulationProducts.com, specializing in custom button boxes. You're watching this live on the Online Sim Racing Network. I am Sean Zulu, joined by David Everly. And ladies and gentlemen, check out the Online Sim Racing Network. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get notified every single time we go live, because we are live every single day of the week. And that means a lot of action coming to you live from different tracks, different drivers, different machines, everything different. But the excitement always stays nothing but high and gets higher with every single race. Once again, Online Sim Racing Network. The owner is Joe White. You are familiar with him. And going back to the race, here we are still being led by Christian DeFalco, Greg Bradshaw second, Gary Whitson third, Alex Kingsbury fourth, John Sterling fifth, Curtis Vollmer sixth, Hunter McDaniel seventh, Tyler Holman eighth, Timothy Hamlet 9th, and Nick Hunt rounding up the top 10. And here we have 26 laps complete with 25 laps to go. That means we have crossed the halfway mark. And the driver, we had one last driver pit in, that was Nick Hunt, and he went 25 laps on his tank and tires. So from that calculation, Nick Hunt should be able to make it on just that one pit stop, but everybody else needs to come down one more time. But I'm not sure if that's going to be a good thing for Nick Hunt, because his tires will be quite worn compared to everybody else out there on the racing surface. And before the green flag pit stops had kicked in, the gap between Christian DeFalco and Greg Bradshaw was about 1.3 seconds. But now that has gone up to over 15 seconds. It is 17 seconds as of last lap. So DeFalco has been able to put down a lot of time against all his opponents on the racing surface, and so far only showing 11 drivers on the lead lap. And as a result of those green flag pit stops, the field is very, very spread out. Where Ralph Van der Forsten's high side himself looks like he had some trouble there. He actually went off the track, entering turn number 3, a very, very tricky turn because they're carrying way too much speed. It's kind of a blind corner, if you will, because it does curve downwards. So you pretty much don't know where you're going, and just keeping your fingers crossed that you're actually aiming towards something that's going to have somewhat traction, some kind of traction. But Van der Forst gets out of that unharmed. And we did lose one more driver, unfortunately, 17 of Tommy Haynes. We look forward to seeing Tommy Haynes back again next week for Chase Race 1 at Iowa Motor Speedway. And ladies and gentlemen, just a refresher as to who are locked into the chase as of before this race begun, and also just for those who might not have been here when I talked about it there early on, we do have So we have Gary Whitson locked in, Randy Perdue, Bryce Whitson Jr., Joshua Gillen, Jay Pryor, Hunter McDaniel, Curtis Vollmer, Scott Mitten, Gary Woobot, Tyler Homan, John Sterling, Tommy Emasi. That's going to be Tommy Emasi, John Sterling, Tyler Homan, Gary Woobot, Scott Mitten, Curtis Vollmer, Hunter McDaniel, Jay Pryor, Joshua Gillen, Bryce Whitson Jr., Randy Perdue, and Gary B. Whitson all locked into the chase as of starting tonight's race. But those results are not final because still one more race to be considered, which is this one right here. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the Buckle Up 50. And now only 10 drivers on the lead lap, with Wally Tierheimer last driver on the lead lap in the 10th place position. So at this point, if any of the drivers pit in, they should be able to make it the rest of the way. Curtis Vollmer and 15 of Gary Woobot side by side. Woobot stays right to let Vollmer by. No harm done because they're on different laps. Curtis Vollmer here on the lead lap and the 15 of Woobot a lap down, unfortunately. And the closest drivers we have so far, include Joan Sterling and Curtis Vollmer, less than a second apart. Actually, that's actually 1.9 seconds, scratch that. But Vollmer still has Sterling in sight as Sterling gets around the 4-0 of Joshua Gillen. And with so many lapped machines out there, ladies and gentlemen, it makes it extra difficult for the leaders out there. Well, sometimes it makes it difficult for the drivers behind the leaders. So it's pretty much a chain effect, or I guess a stalemate, if you will, cause either way, all the drivers are going to have to deal with the exact same traffic at the same time. It all depends on where exactly they catch that lapped traffic. If, for example, they catch the lapped traffic in turn number 5 and 6, which is the most difficult turn on this track, the Moss corner, which is the right-hander, that's 90 degrees. That's going to slow them down a lot. And we have lost one more driver, unfortunately, the 9 of Chris Voiles. And 49 of Timothy Hamlet here, currently in the 9th place spot. His next victim, 77 of Tyler Homan, about 4 seconds ahead of him. He has found 5th gear so far, trying to catch up to Tyler Homan. Oh, he goes way too wide entering turn number 2, almost gets off the track, but is able to stay on the racing surface. No harm done. And I've noticed the drivers trying their best to aim for those curbs to help the machines rotate. But with them who have completed about 10 laps since their last pit stops, the machines are pushing tight, which means they have to slow it down extra in order to be able to hit those curbs. So they are actually disregarding that. They are not hitting those curbs. They're just going all the way wide because they feel they're better off that way. And Hunter McDaniel going down pit road for his final pit stop of the evening with 20 laps to go. And 88 of John Sterling in the 5th place spot has his eyes on the prize. 72, Alex Kingsbury. And so far, looks like Kingsbury gets a great run off the exit of turn 6. And that does increase the gap a little bit against Sterling. So it's all about the slow in, fast out. Too fast in, you might not be able to make it out of that turn alive or in one piece. And off the exit of turn number 9, we have Bobby Tinch going down pit road this time around. '88 John Sterling as well going down pit road for his last pit stop of the evening. And up front here, the gap between the top 2 drivers, DeFalco still leading. He's led every single lap tonight. And Greg Bradshaw is now 19.7 seconds behind him. And last time we checked, they were 17 seconds apart. So it has gone up about 2 seconds since the last time we checked. And now John Sterling and Bobby Tinch rolling off pit road. And with Nick Hunt being able to make it on just that one pit stop that he made, he went a lap down due to him staying out that long. It actually shows me, yeah, he pitted in 7 laps ago. So right now, once the leaders pit in, DeFalco, Bradshaw, Kingsbury, Vollmer, he should be able to get his lap back. But I'm not sure how much time he's going to be able to gain after that, if any. Because when it comes down to it, in reality, he will end up losing a lot more time because of the tire difference. '88 of John Sterling on newer tires and getting around every single machine as though they're sitting on jack stands. And the updated top 10 this far, Christian DeFalco still leading, Greg Bradshaw 2nd, Gary Whitson 3rd, Alex Kingsbury 4th, Curtis Vollmer 5th, Tyler Holman 6th, Timothy Hamlet 7th, John Sterling 8th, Hunter McDaniel 9th, and Wally Tierheimer rounding up the top 10. And Wally Tierheimer just went a lap down, so this now just leaves us with 9 drivers on the lead lap. Oh, Hunter McDaniel off the track. Oh, he gets overtaken by the leader as a result of that, and has been put down 1 lap. And ladies and gentlemen, with 35 laps complete and 16 laps to go, Gonna go ahead and take our final commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Buckle Up 50. That's the Buckle Up 50, race 10 of 10, Extreme Motorsports 99.com Camping World Track Series season number 10, brought to you by the AdvancedSimulationProducts.com. That's AdvancedSimulationProducts.com, specializing in custom button boxes. And ladies and gentlemen, Extreme Motorsports has a lot to offer. They have Road Series and Oval Series, so check them out at their website if you're interested. ExtremeMotorsports99.com. Drop the first E in Extreme and start with the X, ExtremeMotorsports99.com. And once again, this is the final race of the regular race season before a 5-race chase series starting next week at Iowa for the Fred's Pharmacy 250. That's going to be quite the show as the drivers get on the road to dethrone the defending champion Hunter McDaniel, Maverick Motorsports driver. Well, going back to the race, ladies and gentlemen, we are still being led by Christian DeFalco, Gary Whitson second, John Sterling third, Alex Kingsbury fourth, Curtis Vollmer fifth, Tyler Homan sixth, Greg Bradshaw 7th, Timothy Hamlet 8th, Wally Tierheimer 9th, and Scott Brooks rounding up the top 10. And while under commercial, we did have an incident occur, and that was Hunter McDaniel off the exit of turn number 10. Seemed to have gotten into the gas a little bit too soon, and that spun the machine rightward into the wall. And as a result of that, he was forced to retire for the evening. But we look forward to seeing him back next week for the Fred's Pharmacy 250. Looks like he's been able to secure himself a spot in the chase already. He was 4th place in points before tonight's race begun. Well, looking at the stats of the drivers here so far, everybody has pitted in and will be able to make it. And looking at the driver who had the fastest pit stop this time around was Gary B. Whitson again. Gary Whitson, 13.8 seconds spent on pit road, the exact same time as last time. And DeFalco had a 14.8 second pit stop, which is a second and 1.1 seconds more than his first pit stop. So it looks like he was a little bit slow on pit road in his pit stop this time, but still good enough. And also third place driver John Sterling did spend 14.2 seconds on pit road, so that was not bad at all in between Whitson and DeFalco. And now at this point we have 11 laps to go. That's 11 laps remaining. And DeFalco, the leader up front, is getting around the 99 of Bryce Whitson Jr. Bryce Whitson Jr. back on the racing surface. Had some bad luck where he had to spend a lot of time on pit road, but he is back on the racing surface here with 25 laps down, but still tracking. And Scott Brooks, who had been rocking some serious damage on the machine all race long tonight, has been very strong regardless. He did not let that discourage him and is now all the way up to 11th place. His next victim is the 0 of Nick Hunt. And at this point, Nick Hunt is the only thing between Scott Brooks and the top 10. And we are now 10 laps to go. Well, as we can tell here, road courses do really throw quite the confusion. In this case, they really shake things up. For some drivers, it is for the better, but for some, not quite. And as we speak, we only have 7 drivers on the lead lap, with Greg Bradshaw, last driver on the lead lap, about 1 minute 16 seconds behind the leaders. In this case, he is about 5 seconds away from getting lapped if DeFalco catches up to him. 48 of Curtis Vollmer has his eyes on Alex Kingsbury. They are less than a second apart. Looks like Vollmer ended up going way too wide in the S's there and lost a little bit of time against Kingsbury. Great power exit by Kingsbury on the exit of turn number 10 against Vollmer. And for the back in the pack, 74 of Greg Bradshaw he sees his next victim in line. 77 of Tyler Homan, less than 2 seconds ahead of him. At the same time, Homan does have Mr. Highside himself right behind him, Ralph van der Forst. And so far, Christian DeFalco just having a Sunday drive here in tonight's race. He was the fastest driver in practice and qualifying, and has led every single lap in tonight's race. And as we speak, he's about 37 seconds ahead of second place driver Gary Whitson. And 74, Greg Bradshaw here has a 68 of Ralph van der Forst, the only driver separating him from the 6th place spot here against 77 of Tyler Homan. They all three approach turn number 6, 5 and 6 at the Moss corner. Off the exit of turn number 6, looks like Greg Bradshaw was able to get a good run against 68 of Van der Forst, who stays left to let him by. And there's 74 of Greg Bradshaw just went one lap down, and this just now leaves us with 6 drivers on the lead lap. That's going to be 07 of Christian DeFalco. That's Christian DeFalco, Gary Whitson, John Sterling, Alex Kingsbury, Curtis Vollmer, and Tyler Homan. And DeFalco now has his eyes on Tyler Homan as Tyler Homan finds 5th gear in that Silverado. Oh, he was feeling the pressure. He went way too wide there, entering turn number 6, and DeFalco gets around him successfully. Looks like Homan is just right behind DeFalco in his draft on this straight stretch, trying to make up some time. And a status check on the only driver who had the a one pit stop race this far, who's had a one pit stop race this far. 00 of Nick Hunt is currently doing well in the 10th place spot. His next victim is Wally Tierheimer. Hence some good news. Actually, I haven't spoken much of Jay Pride tonight, if any. Jay Pride is currently here in the 14th place spot, behind 15 of Gary Woobot. But going back to Nick Hunt, currently here in the 10th place spot, and he's actually a long ways away from Wally Tierheimer, who is in 9th. And we are now 5 laps to go. 5 laps to go. Updated top 10. Christian DeFalco, Gary Whitson, John Sterling, Alex Kingsbury, Curtis Vollmer, Tyler Hallman, Greg Bradshaw, Timothy Hamlet, Wally Tierheimer, and Nick Hunt. And that's 1st through 10th, respectively. And going back to the closest battle we have on the track so far, 48 of Curtis Vollmer and 72 of Alex Kingsbury. Now less than a second apart here still off the exit of turn number 6, though Vollmer gets a great run. As you say, Kingsbury gets a great run against 80 of Jay Pryor and gets around him on the straightaway. And now Vollmer right behind. Yeah, Curtis Vollmer went in way too hot into turn number 6, which did kill his exit. And Kingsbury now catching up to 00 of Nick Hunt. So at this point, Vollmer is hoping that Nick Hunt slows down Kingsbury so he can be able to benefit from that. Entering turn 3, Kingsbury goes to the right of Nick Hunt, and Vollmer does the exact same thing. Looks like he was able to gain a little bit of time, but not much. And a status check on the race leader, Christian DeFalco. Christian DeFalco is about 6 to 7 seconds behind Alex Kingsbury and Curtis Vollmer, who are 4th and 5th place. At the same time, DeFalco is about 45 seconds ahead of 2nd place driver, Gary Whitson. And now 3 laps to go. .48 of Vollmer still trying to get up to 72 of Alex Kingsbury, but Kingsbury as well fighting and hanging on to dear life for that 4th place spot. I can only imagine what Kingsbury is going through right now, trying his best not to mess up. He gets a great exit off turn number 6. I've noticed he's stayed very, very consistent and fast on turn 6, and that's helped him maintain his 4th place spot against Vollmer this far. And the leader up front, DeFalco, approaching turn number 10, the final turn. This is now the white flag goes across the start-finish line. Yes, the white flag is now out. And focusing back on Curtis Vollmer and Alex Kingsbury here so far. Vollmer is reeling him in these turns. Looks like turns number 1 through 5. Vollmer is very strong, but off turn number 6 through 10, Kingsbury is stronger, and that ends up just keeping them at a stalemate for the most part. Oh, off turn number 6, Vollmer ends up getting a little bit slower out of there, and Kingsbury lives up. Oh, he spins up. Oh man, he lost it. Whoa, that was almost ugly for Kingsbury, but he saved it. But Vollmer with a big run right behind. Entering turn number 8 in the S's, Vollmer trying to make it work on the outside, but he backs it down so far. Entering turn number 9. The final turn this time around, and Alex Kingsbury able to hang on to the 4th place spot. Vollmer 5th place, but up front, DeFalco brings this thing home. Yep, DeFalco brings this thing home. Gary Whitson 2nd, John Sterling 3rd, Alex Kingsbury 4th, and Curtis Vollmer in the 5th place spot. Actually, it looks like Alex Kingsbury and Vollmer still need to go around one more time. But the top 3 did already cross the start-finish line. That was Christian DeFalco, Gary Whitson, and John Sterling. I'm going to get the drivers to interview ready as the Kingsbury and Vollmer complete their laps. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we joined up in the booth by Christian DeFalco, Gary Whitson, and John Sterling. And going back to the battle here we had between Kingsbury and Vollmer, they ended up coming out 4th and 5th place respectively. But tonight's 2-time winner this season, 07 DeFalco with the Lucas Automotive team, with his teammate right there, Alex Kingsbury, doing some serious donuts. Amazing paint schemes on those machines. Get a cup there, Christian.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you, man?
Doing good.
Oh man, what a successful season on your part, a successful race on your part here in tonight's race. You had the fastest practice time, had the fastest qualifying time, and had the fastest and most consistent machine all race long. How's your experience tonight?
I had a good experience. I got out front early and then didn't make any mistakes and was lucky enough to not get caught out by anybody or wreck my own truck.
Oh, most definitely, man. We're glad you were able to do that. And how were you able to stay so consistent all race long?
Just had to keep my head in the game, made sure I hit my braking points and didn't push past the limit.
Oh, copy that, man. Well, a successful night on your part and a successful season overall. And how do you feel about your accomplishments so far this season? Do you feel you've done enough this season so far?
I think I've done the best I can.
Absolutely, man. Well, congrats on the success here tonight for a second win of the season. We look forward to seeing you again next week for Chase Race 1 at Iowa Speedway. Any thoughts before we let you go? Any final words?
Big thanks to Mountain Dew. Wouldn't be able to have got all this practice at this track without them. big thanks to Lucron Automotive, and big thanks to my teammate Alex Kingsbury for practicing with me.
Well, congrats and a heck of a way to end the regular race season. See you again next week at Iowa. Have a good night. Go celebrate.
Thank you.
Lucron Automotive driver Christian DeFalco, but next in line, Whitson Motorsports drivers Gary Whitson and John Sterling. Gonna start with 13 of Whitson Jr. Gotta go up there, Gary.
Yeah, 10-4 here, guys.
How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I kept it on the track for the most part. Didn't really hit anything, and I brought it home second, so pretty happy with that.
Absolutely, man. After having some back-to-back wins 2 weeks ago at Darlington, last week at Vegas, and also a successful night tonight at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. How was your experience tonight for the last race of the regular season?
It was good. It's good to keep the momentum up going into the chase. Don't really consider myself a road course racer, so it was nice to be on pace with everybody but Christian. So I think probably overachieved for the night, and super happy with the second place.
And Gary, we need to ask this question, man. You had the fastest pit stops both times, 13.8 seconds. How was that possible, staying so consistent with that?
I guess the boys were just pepped up on some Monster Energy or something. Not really sure, but I'll take them.
Oh, copy that. And how do you feel about the chase coming up next week with the first race being at Iowa? Do you feel ready so far?
As ready as I'm going to be. I like Iowa. I like most of the tracks in the chase, so got some good momentum, and we'll just see what happens.
Oh, 10-4, brother. Well, congrats here for some back-to-back success here in the last couple of races. We look forward to seeing you one spot higher as you are once again locked into the chase, so congrats on that, and also your success all season long this far. I know it's not been easy, but you've been able to keep your head high, keep your foot down the floorboard, and be successful overall. But any thoughts before I let you go?
No, I just want to say thanks to you guys, thanks to the league, and everybody check out Laps for Leukemia. Donate. We're trying to raise $15,000, and it's join.bethematch.org/lapsforleukemia.
Well, congrats once again there, Gary, and see you again next week, one spot higher. Go get ready for next week's race. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
That was a Whitson Motorsports driver, Gary Whitson, and now another Whitson Motorsports driver, 88 of John Sterling, one of our new aliens this season. Look up there, John. Got a copy?
Yep, I'm here.
How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, doing great. Especially, I believe now we're locked in the chase now.
Oh man, congratulations on that accomplishment, and also last week's great race on your part. You finished second last week at Vegas. You were able to get yourself in top 10 in points. That is very, very commendable. I know it's not been an easy season for you, but we saw you battling left and right with every single lap in every single track, every single week. That was really amazing on your part. But how was your season overall?
I mean, we started off strong, and then we had a miss race, and we had a couple bad weeks where we were running top 5 and just got wrecked. And last few races, it was really I mean, I was sweating almost every race trying to finish pretty well to just make it in on points.
And John, we know you're a rookie this season here in the Track Series, like we mentioned a couple of times. And your rookie season, you end up getting yourself locked into the chase. What happened? Basically, what was your secret or your approach to the season?
I'll just trying to stay clean, use some pretty good pit strategy. Yeah, just trying to stay out of trouble, and whenever I could, I try to get as much practice in, to learn the racing line and get every kind of advantage that I could find.
Oh, most definitely, man. Well, it's been very, very successful, and that does not go unnoticed. And with the way you've seen, you've been racing these drivers. Basically, you pretty much know everybody's driving and racing styles. How do you feel about your chances against Hunter McDaniel for the championship in the chase?
Hunter seems pretty strong at most of these tracks. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to fight him for the championship. I'm hoping within the next 10 tracks, it's one of these tracks that I can actually get a win out of it, and not like trying to fight for points the whole time. So yeah, I'm going to have to really double down and try to do my best.
Absolutely. Well, man, with the way you've raced all season long, That should be a heck of a battle among yourselves. And once again, congrats on your success all season long, and also getting yourself locked into the chase and having some back-to-back success these last couple of weeks, despite the ups and downs here and there. It's been amazing seeing you keep your head high and not get discouraged. Well, any thoughts before we let you go? Get ready for next week.
I just want to say thank you guys for broadcasting the races. Thank you to Extreme Motorsports League. I mean, this is probably one of the best leagues I've ever attended so far in my entire iRacing career. And to add on to what Gary said, we also have another website for the Laps for Leukemia. It is pledgeit.org/Laps for Leukemia 2018. We're at about $4,000 right now, and we got about 5 more races for the rest of the year, so we're trying to make it to $15,000.
Oh, copy that, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right there. pledgeit.org/Laps for Leukemia 2018. So please, every donation is much appreciated for an amazing cause, a great cause. Well, John, once again, congrats on your success here all season long, and look forward to seeing you have an amazing experience in the Chase series as you go against Hunter McDaniel and the big dogs like Curtis Vollmer, Tyler Holman, and Greg Bradshaw. Have a good night and go celebrate.
All right, thank you guys. Good night.
And that was a Whitson Motorsports driver as well, John Sterling. That rounds up interviews. Christian DeFalco, Lucron Automotive. That's Lucron Automotive. Gary Whitson with Whitson Motorsports. And John Sterling, Whitson Motorsports as well. And Alex Kingsbury finished 4th with the Lucron Automotive team. And Curtis Vollmer 5th place with the Samson Motorsports Racing team. Well, that was a heck of a race. What a way to end the season. The Buckle Up 50, season number 10, race 10, Extreme Motorsports 99.com Camping World Truck Series, brought to you by the AdvancedSimulationProducts.com, specializing in custom button boxes. And ladies and gentlemen, just like John Sterling I talked about up here, Extreme Motorsports is an amazing league. They have a lot to offer, so check them out at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and drop the first E in Extreme and start with the X, ExtremeMotorsports99.com. Well, Dave, any thoughts?
Well, it's been an exciting season, but the intensity is about to pick up as we are going into the chase, so still anybody's ballgame.
Indeed, Hunter McDaniel better hang on to his seat tight, because a lot of hungry lions behind him trying to dethrone him and take away his title. We have some new blood here, John Sterling. He has a lot to offer. I have a bad feeling about him in terms of competition against all the drivers here in the Chase series, but it's going to be amazing, so do not miss it. First race in the Chase is next week, the Fred's Pharmacy 250. That's the Fred's Pharmacy 250 at Iowa Motor Speedway. I am Sean Zulu and David Everly behind the cameras, and thank you for being a part of the action tonight live on the Online Sim Racing Network. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we are live almost every single night of the week right here, Online Sim Racing Network, courtesy of Joe White. I am Sean Zulu, and David Everly. Have a good week.